The Virgin Islands government has amended the Anti-Money Laundering Regulations and the Terrorist Financing Code of Practice to bring the territory in line with the Financial Action Task Force standards. During a ministerial statement in the House of Assembly on November 2nd, 2015, Premier Dr. Orlando Smith says the regulations would address the relationship between local service providers and third parties, the collection and verification of customer due diligence information, and beneficial ownership information.
And speak having regard for the large number of entities that will be subject to these requirements, a 10-month compliance period has been provided. This will allow local service providers time to ensure that all of the relevant information now required to be maintained within the territory is collected and held for each individual company they represent. While my government recognizes that some of our larger service providers collecting all required information by the end of this year, by the end of this compliance period, may prove challenging, I encourage all service providers to try their utmost to comply with the timeline provided. Where service providers are facing difficulties in meeting their compliance date, provision has been made to allow for an extension of time to be granted. Service providers will, however, have to display that they have made sufficient progress in collecting the required information to warrant an extension. The circumstances under which an extension may be granted are outlined in the schedule to the regulations and call for service providers to obtain information on at least 50% of their clients within 7 months of the regulations coming into force, or on 75% of their clients within 10 months of the regulations coming into force.
The amendments will take effect January 1st, 2016. However, Premier Smith has expressed the view that, subject to some modifications, the BVI's current regime provides an effective mechanism which complies with the standard on beneficial ownership information.
The industry maintains a high confidence in the jurisdiction's existing beneficial ownership regime. The finding also found that our system achieves the same outcomes as a central register, using an equally effective mechanism, or corporate service provider regulatory regime. At that time, we concluded that our present regime, subject to some modifications, provides an effective mechanism which complies with the standard on beneficial ownership information. All of the other OTs made similar conclusions, and in lead up to, as well as subsequent meetings of a joint ministerial council meeting with the United Kingdom government in 2014, we reiterated our position that we are not in favor of public central registries. Let me point out here that while the United Kingdom government has opted for a public central register, which will make the ownership of companies available centrally to the public at large, this approach has not been widely adopted internationally. It should be noted, however, that the UK government acknowledges that similarly effective systems could be utilized.
The financial services sector in the BVI and other UK overseas territories and Crown dependencies have come under intense scrutiny and pressure from the United Kingdom, G7, OECD, and other international bodies within recent times. And with that pressure has been a call for more corporate transparency regarding beneficial ownership information.